Greetings, my beloveds. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Monique Cafe, the Violet Flame Intuitive, back with another one, and I know it has been a while. For those of you who have checked in on me, I want to say thank you. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful that you noticed that I hadn't posted in a while. It warms my heart that I do have some folks that look forward to these readings, because I do these readings for you. I do them for us. When messages come through my spiritual channel, they aren't just for the collective, they're for me as well. I'm not someone who pretends to come across as if I have it all together and you guys don't. No, these messages are for me just as well. In fact, I plan on going back and listening to some of the previous messages to make sure that I am working to integrate those into my personal life, not just to serve as a channel that doesn't take her own advice. So I just wanted to say that part. March was crazy for me, and I'm sure for many of you. The energies in the collective were extremely volatile. Life was lifing, and I needed to take a pause. Part of being a light worker, channeler, reader of cards is you want your channel to be clear and pure, untainted. So I needed to step away to clear that up, because I want the messages that come across to be in alignment with what the collective needs to hear in the purest sense. Another message that I had been getting is to let the volatile energies pass before I restart the readings again. But I would be remiss if I didn't deal with what happened in March. And when I say what happened in March, I mean whatever happened in your personal life and in the collective. I know personally we've dealt with wildfires that touched close to home. And I also had a dear friend whose house burned down. And that was a whole emotional thing I needed to integrate. I had another family member who was indirectly impacted by the fire that I was supporting emotionally. I've been traveling to support others in their endeavors. And it was just an overall emotional time. A lot of things didn't make sense. And so I feel better now. I went to the beach today and I got clear. And I'd like to proceed. But I would be remiss without dealing with March. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull a spread that I've been using when I want to pinpoint a specific issue. It's a 5-card spread with 2 additional rows of clarifiers. I'm using the Lenormand system, the Mystical Lenormand deck. And what I've decided to do is to choose a card from that deck and program my intent into that particular card. The first thing I do after I shuffle is I pull off the top until I find the card that I programmed. I take the 2 cards that came out before it and lay those to the left of that card. And then I take out the next 2 cards that would have come behind it and lay those out. The first 2 rows will give us some insights into what all happened in March. The middle row will be current energies. And the last 2 rows will be what we can expect for April and how we can approach those energies for the highest good of each of us and for the highest good of the collective. So I have chosen the Rider card to represent current energies, particularly because today is April the 7th, 2025, and Mercury has gone direct. Mercury has been in retrograde for the past few weeks, and today it has stationed direct. While we are still in the shadow period of the retrograde, today marks the day that things begin to move forward with regard to communication, technology, planning, decision-making. Anything that felt like it was stagnant or on hold, like I just explained with these readings, will now begin to move forward. I'm using this Rider card to signify current energies, movement forward, progress as we proceed through the month of April. So let's get started with the shuffle. And if you like what you've been hearing and seeing on my channel, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And also, please leave a comment to let me know how you guys are resonating with these readings. I love to hear from you, and it lets me know that someone somewhere out there is getting something out of these readings, because that is my intent. That is my highest intent in doing this channel. Shuffling now. Like I said, we'll be looking for the Rider card first before laying the rest of the cards. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. So be it. Thank you, Spirit. Looking for the Rider card. There it is. Pulling the cards that came before. And the two cards that come next. We'll be pulling the clarifiers off the top, and if we run out, we'll turn this deck over and pull them out of it. I don't think we're going to run out. Looks like I have plenty in my hands to work with. Okay, so we have the Rider in the center here. And to the left, we have the Key and the Garden or the Park card. To the right, we have the Tree and the Whip. Okay, so like I said, these two positions represent what all happened in March. This is what is going on now, and this is what we can expect throughout the month of April and how we might deal with those energies. Starting with March, this card right here is about external events, networking, as opposed to internal energies. This would be things that we are conscious of, things that we can see, touch, feel, hear with our five senses. Something going on in our external environments. And it's in the lead position here. March drew our attention outside of ourselves, largely, is what this card tells me. There were a lot of distractions in the news media, in nature, with fire and wind and storms. Things that didn't directly impact our lives necessarily, but that we consumed and we allowed it to impact us emotionally at least. We may have even engaged with these energies. Some of us may have been affected by events that we attended, weddings, parties, festivals. There were a lot of sporting events that took place in March. Some of us may have attended those. We may have engaged in sporting events. Some of us may have been doing a lot of work outside in the yard as the weather changes over. Some of us may have spent a lot of time out in nature, on hikes, on walks, taking in the sunshine. There were some areas of the country where the weather did break and it got quite warm. So there may have been a lot of outdoors activities that we engaged in. Anyway, we were outside. We were either physically outside or technology drew our minds to things external to our inner worlds. That's what this card means. This next card here is the Key. This card is about access, opportunity, openings. It tells me that through our engagement with external activities, it allowed us to access perhaps emotions that we didn't even know we had. I'll bet you stuff came up for y'all that you didn't even realize that you hadn't fully dealt with. I know that resonates for me. You know how you say, well, yeah, that happened years ago. We've been over that. Like, we got over that hump. We've been moved past that. But somehow in March, it found a way to bubble back up to the surface, and you were like, whoa, I didn't even know I still cared about that. I thought that I was over that. And so it can be very healing when something that you're unaware of emotionally comes up to let you know that you are still dealing with it. And now you have access to it, because you can't heal something you don't know about, that you don't know needs healing, right? So I feel like, a lot of the shakeup that went down in March, that was a big part of it, if not the main deal, is to shake loose to the surface long buried thoughts, feelings, emotions that needed to be dealt with, to be healed, to be laid to rest for good now. This is an opportunity to bring permanent closure to some old festering stuff. You see, that dragon on the bottom of the card is sleeping. March woke that sleeping dragon up for many of us. And that is the sun symbol in the upper right-hand corner. Fire energy. We moved into Aries during the month of March. And Aries is all about taking initiative, getting up off your behind and making things happen that you've been wanting to make or intending to make happen for a while. Just like I said with emotions, it's time to deal with that stuff so that you can move on, free yourself up for new, more positive energies to enter into your life. And the Rider card is simply about the fact that we have moved into this Aries energy, this new month of April. And Mercury is now direct, and things will start to move that have felt stagnant. And we're going to pull the clarifier cards to know exactly what we're dealing with in the current energies. So that was the Rider. So to the right of the Rider, we have the Tree. And I've already said long-standing issues. The Tree is about stuff that's deeply rooted. It's been growing for a long time. Things, how the roots grow beneath the surface. You can't see the roots, but you know they're there, because otherwise there would be no tree. It can indicate a support system, family, ancestral issues, old, ancient energies. This is right in line with what I was saying about March bringing up some of this stuff. It seems like with this tree falling in the position for April energies, there quite likely is a continuation of dealing with long buried issues. But you know what those issues are now, right? So this April's not about, you don't know what I'm talking about. Whatever it is that came up for you in March that you're dealing with, this tree is saying, yes, now we're going to deal with it. March was about bringing it to the forefront, and April is about dealing with it. And we have the Whip card next to the tree, which is a kicking up of the roots. There's a lot of energy around uprooting what is no longer serving. Those rods in the hand of this man are made out of twigs from a tree. Someone went out and gathered those twigs and made them into a broom, a whip, a whipping device. Tells me that many of the issues that we deal with that are long-standing have made us who we are today. And we use those experiences. We use the wisdoms that we gain coming through that kind of stuff to color our path forward. To what extent does your experience from the past support, guide, or color the way you choose to move forward? If something in the past made you angry, do you lead with anger? Have you fully forgiven that which has made you angry? In this past week, I've heard it's okay to be angry, but it's another thing to be bitter. I believe it was Maya Angelou that had that quote. We need anger. We need to be able to access anger because we need to know that we're angry in order to heal it. But to suppress that anger and to become bitter and resentful, now that is what perpetuates sickness and disease, dis-ease. It's time to prune the tree, clip those dead twigs to allow for the new growth to sprout. So we're pruning in April. We're pruning March was about not even knowing that stuff needed to be pruned. So we know what needs to be pruned. And April is about doing the work under this Aries initiatory energy to prune away the old remnants of things that still linger that do not serve us. Okay, so that could be a relationship, a job, a mindset, a habit, a vice. It's time to move. We're cleaning house. We're sweeping the dust out of our spaces. Spring cleaning. Ha! I heard spring cleaning. And you know what? That's a good idea. If you start actually cleaning up your space, you'll get yourself real clear while you're in the moment. Just start cleaning up stuff you've been meaning to clean. Clean out the garage. Mop the kitchen floor. Change the filters in your air conditioning units. Actually go outside and prune whatever trees you may have if you have a yard. Clean up the yard. Rake up the old dead clippings from the winter. Mow the lawn. Edge it up. Make it look pretty. Put some seed out for the birds. Power wash your house. Clean the windows. Inside and out. Clear up your vision. That window that you look through while you're washing the dishes. If you have one, wipe it down. Pull your bikes off of the racks. Wipe them down. Air up the tires. Take your car for maintenance. Get it all detailed, waxed. Shine things up. Venus is doing some stuff too, as a matter of fact. And Venus rules the material things and the aesthetic quality of things. Venus went retrograde on March the 1st, and it will go direct on April the 12th. And April the 12th, we will also experience a full moon in Libra, and Venus rules Libra. So we're talking about love, relationships, beauty, finances. Venus rules a lot of things. Venus governs nearly all things tied to love, money, beauty, relationships, harmony, and our physical senses. It influences what we find attractive, how we express self-worth and value, and the way we appreciate aesthetics, our cherished possessions. And it's interesting because I started this video out talking about how I had a friend who lost her home in a wildfire, that all happened right after Venus went retrograde. To lose all of one's values during a Venus retrograde, I mean, we can't make this stuff up. So with this tree and this whip here, these are the things that are deeply rooted, that have been growing over a long period of time, that have supported our journey up until this point. Things that we adore on the surface, but may still need some tending to beneath the surface. That thing that came up for you in March. Because this tree is asking to be pruned, to be rejuvenated, to prepare it to flourish throughout the spring. And this whip is saying, we've got work to do to make that happen. Ashe. So let's lay the clarifier cards now. Starting with this first column where we're dealing with the external environment, it has been clarified by the Path card, also known as the Crossroads, and the Mice. This Path card is about something coming to a crossroads, a separation or a decision point. And the Mice is about loss or deterioration. Something is diminished. Also, the Mice card can signify details, anxieties, and worries. The little things that nag at you. So what this tells me is that there have been some irritations in the external environment that have hit a crossroads for some of you, or all of you, or many of you. That thing that's been nagging you or tugging at you, or worrying you all this time, it got to a point where it bubbled over and you can no longer exist in the energy without changing or shifting. Something came up, forcing you to change directions. What did you stop doing? What did you throw your hands up about? What did you change in your thinking pattern that you felt like you were just tired of it? Did you discard anything? Like my friend's home that burned down. Did you lose anything? Were there any relationships that were fractured during the month of March? It's interesting that this path card is underneath the park because if you look at it, when the woman, this is a woman reading a book, la 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 la, when she gets to the crossroads, she's got to go left or right. It's the same thing with the park card. If you notice here, when you go through the lion's gates here, there's two lions. You can't just keep walking straight. You got to go left or right. This card has a gentleman holding his son or grandson's hand on the left side. And on the right side, there's a woman with an umbrella walking her dog. He's not on a leash, but he appears to be a loyal companion. So similar to this card, many of us got to a place where we had to shift. There was no option to keep on that same path. And it was not easy with this mouse card here. This would be that thing in your life that caused you the most anxiety, the most worry, that thing that crumbled or that was crumbling and you didn't know it was crumbling until it came up to be dealt with based on external forces making it happen. So many of us hit a crossroads in March, okay? And it's a blessing because we were able to access what needed to be healed. It came up for us, however it came up. Now we know what it is. The fire, whatever had the most energy around it, it came up to be healed. And this is the ship card. This key is clarified by the ship and the star. The ship is about a journey, and the star card is a very spiritual card. This feels like a spiritual journey to me here. Many of you may have embarked upon a spiritual awakening, or you were thrust forward more forcefully, or your spiritual pathway opened up and became more available to you. We're talking epiphanies. We're talking some really major eye-opening situations occurred that allowed you to accelerate your spiritual growth, your evolution as a human being. That thing that was keeping you stuck in that life, in that habit, in that pattern that wasn't serving you, that was driving you crazy and causing you a lot of worry and anxiety, it got free. And you now have access to exactly what it is you need to do to overcome that, to move beyond that. At the very least, you now know you need to move. You know you need to move. You know these energies can't stay here. The crossroads has been revealed to you already. I feel like the choice was already presented to you, so you already know what the choice is. Whether or not you've made the choice, I don't know. But you do know that there is a choice that you need to make. And for those of you who have made it, you are in alignment with the collective energies of moving forward as these retrogrades go direct, the ones I mentioned about Mercury and Venus. And for those of you who aren't there yet, you still have another week to get yourself there. Hopefully this reading will help you and be your sign that, all right, we're waiting on you. Aries season is waiting on you to get off your bum and do that thing you said you know you need to do. Okay, so in the current energy, now we have the Rider card is just, I already programmed this card as this is the current energy that we are in as the collective. This is a moving forward energy, a moving forward into March. So ignore the fact that the Rider is facing this way. It doesn't matter. I already programmed this card to be the card that moves us forward into April. And so this is the current energy, and it is clarified by the snake and the moon. So again, we have another spiritual card here. Both of these. The snake is about spiritual healing. It's about other things, but I'm getting spiritual healing. I'll tell you the other things in a second. And the moon is about the subconscious, what's hidden, the emotions that are deeply felt. Okay, so we're manipulating. Okay, so that's the other thing about the snake. It's like a manipulation, a detour, a strategy, intellect. Okay, so we're manipulating here emotional energies. That is what we are doing. So the current energy is about working with the emotions that you feel to transmute them using your emotions as your guidance system. This is not a time to bury those emotions or to compartmentalize them, to escape them. This is not the energy for that. March showed you how you were feeling, and now that you know how you feel, it's time to face it. I'm hearing Kundalini energy with the snake here. Kundalini energy. For those of you who are not aware of what Kundalini energy is, it is believed to be a powerful life force that lies dormant at the base of your spine. It's often imagined like a coiled serpent. In spiritual traditions such as yoga and tantra, it's said that when this energy awakens, it rises up through your spine, moving through your energy centers called chakras, all the way up to the top of your head. As it rises, it can bring deep spiritual awareness, transformation, healing, and sometimes intense physical or emotional experiences. Think of it as unlocking a hidden power within you. That is what has happened here. One that connects you to your higher self, your inner wisdom, and the universe as a whole. The Kundalini energy has been awakened. And for those of you who are paying attention, it is available to you in strengthening your connection with spirit and your inner wisdom. And the way that we access or continue to access this energy is through the emotional guidance system. Whatever came up for you, use it. Follow it. Feel what you feel. That's how you start. Some practical ways for tapping into this energy is breath work. One of the things that I do is I like to do inhale through the nose to a count of 4, hold to a count of 4, exhale through the mouth to a count of 4, hold to a count of 4. I call this box breathing, box meaning a 4-sided box. If you sit and do that, maybe 3, 4, or 5 repetitions of that, you'll be amazed at the clarity that you will receive just from breath work alone. Also, doing yoga helps. Meditation and visualization. Sitting quietly and visualizing the energy rising from the base of the spine to the crown of the head. Affirmations, like my energy is awakening in perfect balance. Tapping that into the thymus, to the center of the chest, as you say your positive affirmations. Grounding, like with this park card here, going out into nature and walking barefoot, spending time in nature, and eating grounding foods like root vegetables. Journaling, because as this energy rises, old patterns surface, and journaling can help you release the stuck emotions and bring clarity. But most of all, be patient. This is an inner evolution, not a quick fix. And moving on into April with this tree here, this is something that has been bubbling up and coming to the surface for a very long time, and perhaps for generations that came before you, and even ancestors that you didn't know in this lifetime. You carry the DNA of your bloodline here. So the healing that you do for yourself, it heals your entire bloodline. Any pattern breaking, cycle breaking, curse breaking that you participate in with regard to patterns that have been perpetuating in your family that don't serve the family's good, if you heal that within yourself and within your immediate family, like maybe your children or your husband or your partner, you heal all of the past wounding as well, if you are so brave to comprehend that notion. This tree is clarified by the clover and the child, so this is accessing new positive energies here. So like I said about pruning that tree to allow for the new growth to come through. That's what we're doing. Prune it away. You know what it is already. Use those practical applications that I just mentioned to help you get there. And if you need individual assistance, I'm happy to do a reading for you. Just send me an email at violetflame consults@gmail.com. And we can set up a time and pull cards on your specific situation. With the whip card here, it is clarified by the cross and the house. Okay? So this cross card is about your cross to bear, burdens you carry, responsibilities that you hold. The house card is about stability, safety, security, comfort, something you can count on, stable. So why is the whip clarified by this cross? It almost feels like the reason why we might not want to deal with deeply felt emotions is because it feels daunting. It can feel daunting. It can feel burdensome. Things that happened in the past that may still be tied to deep wounding. And you just can't find the strength or the courage or the willpower to face those heavy feelings. It feels heavy. But guess what? You've been carrying that cross. You've been carrying that cross. It's time to lay that cross down. The story of Jesus being hung on the cross as they whipped his body is what comes to mind here. Regardless of what your religious leaning might be, everyone knows the story of Jesus carrying the cross, being whipped, and ultimately crucified. It's one of the most powerful symbolic narratives and spiritual teachings, not just within Christianity, but also in mystic frameworks. The cross symbolizes the weight of human suffering, karma, duality, body versus spirit, ego versus the soul. Jesus carrying the cross represents the individual soul bearing the weight of earthly struggle, pain, and collective human wounds. The act of being whipped is seen as purification, the symbolic stripping away of the ego, illusion, and attachments. It reflects how suffering, while painful, can awaken consciousness, crack open the heart, and bring spiritual insight. The crucifixion. Jesus being hung on the cross represents the ultimate surrender, the death of the lower self, so that the higher self, the divine nature within, can be reborn. With this child card here. It's a sacred death, not an end, but a transformation, which is also what this card represents, where you must die to your former self to awaken spiritually. Jesus' path mirrors the journey of the spiritual initiate, from awakening to temptation, to service, to sacrifice, to resurrection. The resurrection is a symbol of spiritual evolution, reminding us that beyond death, beyond pain and loss, there lies renewal, ascension, and eternal life. Jesus' journey is every soul's journey. To carry your burden with grace, face the darkness, surrender the ego, and rise in divine light. This house card here tells me that you are adequately supported to continue on your spiritual journey. Just follow your emotional guidance system. Be of good courage. Stand on your square. That's also what I'm hearing with this 4 card here. And the box breathing that I mentioned. For those of you who dare to heal with the spiritual healing card right here in the middle, and the Kundalini energy that is available for you to access internally, you have the opportunity to accelerate your growth in the month of April. We are in Aries season, and it's about taking the initiative, being brave and courageous, moving your body, moving your breath, spring cleaning. Let's get going. The way we heal the collective is when we each do our own individual inner work. And this time, for the month of April, we're being supported in the physical as well as the mental. Move whatever it is you need to move. Your mind, your body, your spirit. You are supported in that. And I wish you well on the journey. I will check back in with you guys at some point. I think I'm going to be moving over into monthlies instead of weeklies through the summer at least, because these energies that we are integrating will be taking place over longer stretches of time here. We are grounding, we are integrating a lot. And it's going to take several months and perhaps throughout the year for that to take hold. But I will be checking back in. I'm just going to post as the spirit moves me, but at the very least, there will be monthlies for the rest of the summer. So that's what I have for you guys. Thanks for stopping by and tuning in. Like I said, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment under this video to let me know what resonates for you and that you see value in me posting these messages. I would greatly appreciate that. Thanks again to my subscribers that checked in on me when I was absent for a short pause. I love you. I love you all. Have a blissful week and month, and I will talk to you soon. I love you. Ashe. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let me know how these messages are resonating for you in the comment section. If you would like a personal reading, never hesitate to email me at violetflameconsults@gmail.com. Thanks again for stopping by.